All right, we're gonna do body weight strength today. So let's start out just by rolling our ankles, shifting from leg to leg, and take a little bit more each time whenever you're lifting that foot, just to get a little bit of balance training in. And then we're gonna just swing each leg, opening up through the front of the hips. We do this a lot in yoga, but it's really good for strength training too, especially if we're doing legs. And it's good balance practice. And shake it out. Let's do some shoulder rolls. Change directions, back and forward. And as we're going through these, just pay attention. How do you feel on each shoulder? Do you feel any grindiness or, tightness on one side, not the other? Let's bring the right ear to the right shoulder, drop the left shoulder down. And then we'll bring the left ear to the left shoulder, drop the right shoulder down. Just adding a little bit of length between the ear and the shoulder. And then I want you to look all the way up gently, but as far up as you can, opening up to the front of the neck. And this really just helps the back of the neck so that we can maintain that curvature of the upper spine. And now we're going to look all the way down. And as we look down, let's clasp our hands behind our back, open through the shoulders. Take a few deep breaths, opening through the chest. And now we're going to take a wide stance. Inhale up, exhale down. Let your arms hang down, let your head hang down. And from here, just pay attention. How does it feel in your lower back? How do the backs of your legs feel? Take a few more deep breaths, lifting the tailbone up to the ceiling. And then we're going to bring our hands to our thighs, back roll up one vertebrae at a time. All right, we're going to start out on the mat on our hands and knees. This is a body weight day, so we don't need any weights, but it does help if you have a mat or somewhere soft to be on the floor. We're on our hands and knees. We're going to start out with a pretty basic exercise, and then we're going to gradually make it a little bit more difficult. So our wrists are underneath our shoulders, and just slowly we're going to tap one wrist, opposite hand, tap one shoulder, opposite hand to opposite shoulder, slowly tap. See how it feels. How does this feel on your wrist? And then if that feels pretty easy, like you're not doing much, we're going to roll forward, dropping our hips down. And then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going in slow motion. So essentially, we're just taking turns, balancing on one arm and then the other. It's important when you do this, though, that your wrists are right beneath your shoulders or slightly in front, but not by very much. If that's still a little bit too easy, you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can pick it up to a high plank and do the same thing. Now we're trying not to move our hips too much. We're trying to keep our hips nice and stable. If you're having a hard time with keeping your hips stable, take a wider stance with your feet. So drop down to the knees, take a wider stance. If you want to get a little bit more balance practice, bring your feet close together in your plank. So do what you need to do. And release. Go ahead and give yourself a couple wrist rolls. And we're going to flip it over nice and quick. And we're going to do heel taps. So we're pulling our heels in towards our behind, lifting both shoulder blades up off of the mat. Tap the right, tap the left. Shoulder blades stay off of the mat, lower back stays on the mat. Alternating sides, try to reach as high on that foot as you can. You might be able to get your ankle. If that's not happening, try walking the feet back a little closer to the body. Then you can reach your feet. And if you want to make it harder, step out a little bit farther away from the body. And then you really have to reach. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's flip it over again. All right, so we started out with the shoulder taps. We're going to go back into our hands and knees position. And we're going to start out easy, and then we'll make it a little harder as we go. So hands and knees, we're dropping down, elbows underneath the shoulders, and then picking it back up so our wrists are under the shoulders. And then we change the lead arm. So I'm starting out, I'm going left, right, then I'm right, left, left. Because we move a little bit differently on the lead arm. So we want to make sure that we're doing the same amount of work on both sides of the body. Now, if that feels too easy, you know what's next. Roll out into a partial plank, and then elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. Don't forget to change the lead arm every time. This is working the backs of the arms and the shoulders. Maybe that's even too easy. From here, raise up into a high plank, drop down, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. These are called plank walks because we're walking our hands from high to low. If that gets too tough, you can always drop back down to the knees. And if that's too tough, you can walk it back and go from your hands and knees. All right, go ahead, roll it out. Flip it over again. Now we're gonna get the lower abdominals. My lower back hurts a little bit today, so I'm gonna keep my knees pretty bent to reduce the leverage. So the easy version of this is drop it down, bent knee, heels tap the floor, bring it up. If you're feeling good, you can straighten your legs all the way. But the key is going as slowly as you can so that we're relying on our muscles to do the work, not gravity or momentum. So you find the right bend in your knees or lack thereof, drop it down to the floor, tap the heels, and then bring it up, nice and slow and controlled. It even helps if you match your breathing to the motion. So you could exhale on the way down, inhale on the way up. Exhale down and inhale up. Pull the knees in towards the chest, rock it side to side. Let's flip it again. So from here, we're gonna do a tricep push-up. It's a little different than a wide stance chest push-up. So we're gonna start out again on our hands and knees. Try it out here, see how it feels. And then if you wanna take it to the next level, I'll walk you through it. All right, from here, from our hands and knees, we're dropping down so that our forearms are parallel lines. So take a look at your forearms. Are they parallel? Now look at your forearms the whole time as you lift back up, that they stay parallel. We don't want to turn our elbows out or in. So keep an eye on your arms and don't worry about your hips. This is all about the arms. Now, if that feels a little bit too easy, walk it out. And now this is the one time where you want your hands a little bit farther in front of your shoulders than normal. Because as we drop down, we want our elbows to be under the shoulders. So if we're in a partial plank, it's always good to start at the bottom of the motion. Look at both arms. Are they parallel? Are the elbows under the shoulders? And then push through the palm of your hand to lift up and drop down. Now, this is one where we really want to try to resist gravity. So we're going down slowly, coming up slowly. And then if that feels too easy, start out on your belly. Take a look at your elbows. You're all doing something right now. Here, I'm just showing you the next level. Look at your elbows. Are they under the shoulders? Once they are, you can raise it up so that you're in a plank position and press it up, drop it down. Press it up, drop it down. So that's a tricep push-up. You probably got at least 10 of those in at whatever level. So go ahead and roll out the wrists, bring it up, and again, we're gonna flip it over. We're giving our wrists a break by alternating muscle groups that we're working. So we're doing arms and abs. Now we have bicycles, opposite knee to opposite elbow. But remember, when you kick that other leg out, you want it pretty close to the floor. If not even tapping the heels to the floor. Both shoulder blades up, elbows stay wide, and I'm not pulling my head at all. I'm rotating my shoulders. I'm looking in the direction that I'm rotating, but I'm not pulling my head, I'm not pulling my ears, because that could damage the neck. Let's keep it going, nice and slow, controlled. Let's do 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it up, flip it over. All right, now we've got regular push-ups. We're gonna start again, easy, medium, and then hard. If you know that you like to do the hard ones, you can start out with that. But if you wanna start out with the easy version, let's do it. All right, easy version, look at your fingertips. Make sure they're as wide as your mat, but in alignment with your chest. And from here, we're dropping the chest to the floor in between the wrists and picking it back up. This is the easy version, or you could do it against the wall. I'll demonstrate that after I go to the more difficult one. Then moving on, we could be in a modified plank. Drop it down, tap the chest to the floor, raise it up. But I'm looking at my elbows. I'm making sure I'm not going straight out to the side with my elbows or straight back like we did in triceps. And I'm tapping my chest to the floor every time. If that's a little bit too easy and you want to take it to the next level, bring it up to a high plank. Drop down, raise up. Those are the 3 levels. If you want to try it from the wall, hands to the wall, but lower than the shoulders, step out, bend the elbows, bring the chest to the wall, and press up. You can even jazz it up by pushing. And then the farther out you stand from the wall, and the lower you make your hands, the harder you're working in your chest. The only difference with the wall ones is you're not working your chest quite through the full range of motion, because I'm going to hit my face against the wall before I get my chest to the wall. So keep that in mind. All right, you probably got at least 10 in. So go ahead and shake it out. We're on our backs again. This time, you could do this bent knee, straight leg. We're going to tap to the right, dropping down, raising up, and then tap to the left. So we're making a triangular shape with our feet, a triangle without the bottom. This would be like an upside down letter V. So we're just bringing it up, rotating to the other side. Now, if that's too easy, you can straighten your legs and drop it down a little bit more, but you want to pay attention to your lower back here. We're not arching the lower back to get more distance. We want to keep our backs nice and stabilized. If you can't do that, it's okay if you put your hands under your back, or better yet, bend the knees and practice it with a bent knee until your core is strong enough to have a stable back while you do it straight leg. But if you're having any sort of low back pain, bent knee is always a better way to go. One more on each side. Well done. Let's bring it up to a standing position. So we got chest, shoulders, triceps, abs, a little bit of lower back. We've completely ignored the legs. So let's start out with just a basic squat. Feet are hip width or slightly wider. We're going to turn our toes out a tiny bit. Sink our hips back as low as we can and bring it up to a standing position. So from the side, I'm trying to keep a flat back, keeping my chest out, and then sinking my hips back. So at the bottom of the motion, if I draw a straight line down from my knee, it's still in alignment with my feet. Because what I see a lot is people really turning their knees out, and that's from trying to stand up straight with your torso. By leaning forward with your torso, you can sink your hips back, and that protects the knees and the hips. If this is just too difficult, you can also use a chair. Stand in front of the chair, sit down, tap the chair, and stand right back up. And then you're sure you're going the same distance every single time. Couple more of these. And I want you to really pay attention too, as you're pushing up, push through your heels. Notice how it changes the muscles. Go ahead and shake it out. Taking a wide stance. We're going to do a plie squat. Toes are out, torso's upright this time. Bend the knees, bring it up. I really like plie squats because they work the inner thigh. Sometimes we don't work our inner thighs enough, but they're really important when it comes to staying balanced, catching yourself if you're about to fall. If you live in Western Pennsylvania and you've experienced winter time, you know that sidewalks can get icy. And oftentimes it's these muscles keeping you upright when you're walking on the ice or ice skating. Take a couple more deep breaths here. I like to pair my breathing with my motion. So they always say exhale on exertion. So the exerting part of this exercise would be pressing back up. So we exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down. And that's kind of to balance it out. So when we're working, our leg muscles are working really hard. So we don't want to add to the work by using our diaphragm and the muscles around our rib cage to breathe in. So we exhale to relax so that we can really focus our energy on the muscle. But it also affects our blood pressure too. So when we exhale, blood pressure drops slightly. So when we press up, our blood pressure raises because we're working harder, our muscles are contracting in our legs. So it's kind of like a balancing act. But if you don't know when to inhale and when to exhale, the important thing is that you're just breathing through the whole motion. Sometimes when we do difficult exercises, we hold our breath and that raises the blood pressure to a higher degree. And once you exhale, it drops the blood pressure and you run the risk of passing out. We've been doing this for a while, haven't we? Let's go ahead and step it out. From here, we're going to do side lunges. So make sure you have room on both sides. We're going to step out with the left, bend the left knee, sink the hips back. Right leg stays straight and stays balanced in the center. Then we're going to step it in, step out on the right side, bend the right knee, left leg stays straight, and press it in. So from the side, it's important that we keep our knees in alignment. So when I'm doing it from the side, notice I'm still sinking my hips backwards so that my knees and feet are in better alignment. So I'm leaning forward slightly, sinking my hips backward, keeping a relatively flat back, keeping my upper back engaged, looking forward, keeping my chin up. Another thing that we do whenever we get tired is hang our head down, especially in planks and push-ups. So keep your chin up the whole time. It's good for your neck. Now, if you want to make sure that you're getting the same distance, you could try sweeping down, tapping the ankle, bringing it up. That forces you to go just a little bit lower. Couple more of these. And relax, step it out. And now we're going to go into a reverse lunge. So make sure you have room behind you, stand up nice and tall, step back, bend the back knee, step forward, switch legs, bend the back knee. Now, when you're doing a reverse lunge, make sure at the bottom that my knee, hip, shoulder, and ear are in alignment. You don't have to touch your knee to the floor, but you do want to make sure that your knee is dropping right beneath your hip, keeping your torso upright. The biggest mistake in these that I see is people start to lean forward and get kind of a weird bend, or they step really far back, lean forward, kind of bend, and bring it back. And so if you're stepping too far, when you drop your knee down, you're way behind your hip. And while that's a good stretch for the front of the hips and almost a crescent lunge in yoga, you're not getting the strength component than if you drop your knee right below the hip. Couple more, keep your abs engaged. So the exertion point is when we're raising up. So we inhale down, exhale up. Go ahead and step it out. We're not done with inner thighs. So we're gonna lay on our side. This one's kind of fun, it's a Pilates style motion. We're gonna lay on our side. We're gonna straighten this bottom leg. Top leg comes up and over. Now, when we're in this position, we tend to want to turn our top hip back towards the room behind us. So it's important to keep your hips stacked, meaning one hip is right over the other. From this position, we're going to flex the bottom foot, raise the leg as high as we can, bring it down, keep a straight knee. Now, if this feels too easy, it probably means your hips started to work their way back. So keep your top hip right above the bottom hip. Keep raising. We should count these since we're doing them on each side. I think that's the 7, 8, 9. Let's go for 15, 10, 11, 12, 13. Keep those hips stacked. 14 and 15. Shake it out. Take a quick break. And then for our next set, we're just going to hold it up and pulse 10 times. So let's raise it up. Hold it where you're comfortable. Make sure your hips are stacked. And now we're going to do 10 little pulses. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take a break. Flip it. You can either flip over or you can switch sides on your mats. Since I'm being filmed, I'm on camera, I'm going to switch sides. So now other leg is on top. Make sure your hips are stacked. And we're going to do a raise 15 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a quick break. Make sure your hips are still stacked. Mine started to travel back a little bit, and this foot does not want to stay where it is. Now we're going to do 10 pulses. Raise that leg. 10 pulses. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You could do this one in bed. Work your inner thighs before even getting out of bed in the morning. All right, we're not done with legs just yet. I'm gonna get glutes and lower back. So we're gonna lay on our belly on the mat. I don't care what you do with your hands as long as you're comfortable. We're gonna start with just doing one leg at a time and then try for both. So the easy version of this is bending a knee, stepping your leg up and out as wide as you can and bringing it back in, and then doing the same thing on the other side. So you're drawing half of the letter M. Now, if that feels too easy, you can straighten the legs. Same thing, but we're trying to get as much of our leg off of the mat as possible when we lift, and we're trying to bring our foot as far to the side as we can before we bring it back in. So that gets the glute max, glute med, and lower back. Now, if that's too easy, you can try it with both legs, raising both of them up at the same time. If you raise your upper body off of the floor at the same time, now you're getting more into your lower back. So give that a try. When you're here, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep your chin up, drop the shoulders away from the ears. Now you're using your upper back as well. So a couple different levels with this. You find the one that works for you. You can always work your way up. I don't want to see anybody getting injured from doing too much too soon. So you pick the level that feels right for you. And then it's great whenever you feel a little bit stronger. You know that you're actually gaining strength when you can take it to the next level. Drop it down. Sink back into child pose, stretching your lower back just for a moment. And now we're going to roll onto our hands and knees. We didn't really get upper back that much, so we're going to do that right now. Without weights, it's hard to work your upper back, but there are ways. So we're going to start out on our hands and knees. Open the arm wide, squeeze the shoulder blade, look forward, and then other arm. So we're just raising our arm out to the side. But you should feel, you're pulling your scapula towards your spine, you should feel those muscles working. Now if that's too easy, again, you can roll down into your modified plank, open the arm out to the side, stabilize, bring it back in. If that's too easy, you can raise up into a high plank, same exercise. So you pick the level that's right for you. Just make sure you're not hanging your head down. Make sure you're not straining in the lower back. And always know that you can drop down to the previous level before stopping. So if doing it from a full plank was hard, and you drop down to a modified plank and then it gets too hard, you can always finish up on the hands and knees, because I'm more interested that you're getting your upper back than holding the perfect plank. So when we do those combination moves, like a plank plus an arm raise, we're focused on a lot of things at once. By doing it from the hands and knees, you know you're just working the upper back and you can focus more fully on those muscles instead of balancing. So it's really up to you. While you burn more calories doing it from a plank position, you build more strength in the upper back doing it from a hands and knees position. Go ahead and roll the wrists out. Bring it back up to a standing position. Now we're going to be, if you have a mat, we're going to stand at the end of the mat so that the mat goes out in front of us. We're going to inhale, bring our arms up overhead, exhale, fold down. And now we're going to slow motion walk our hands out into a plank position. Hold that plank for one breath, and then walk the hands back nice and slow. Back roll up. You don't have to raise your arms this time. Back roll back down. Not only are we stretching through the hamstrings, we're working our shoulders, upper back, chest, triceps, and core. Don't forget to hold your plank. I didn't hold mine for a very long time, but this time I will. Sometimes when I say don't forget to, it's because I forgot to. Now, if this begins to get too difficult, like it's a little bit too much, what you can do is bend your knees, walk your hands out with bent knees until your knees are on the floor. Walk it all the way out to a modified plank. Hold your modified plank. Walk the hands back towards the knees, roll the toes under, press it up, and bring it up to a standing position. Now you're getting a squat. So you're squatting as low as you can, walking the hands out till the knees tap. Walk out to a modified plank. Hold that modified plank. And then walk it back. Starting in the low squat and bringing it up. Go ahead and roll your wrists out. We are running short on time, and I have one more exercise that I saved for the end. It's for the whole shoulder complex. So we're going to inhale up, exhale down, walk it out so you're in downward facing dog position. You're pushing our hips up, bending the knees slightly, lifting the tailbone up to the ceiling, pushing through our hands. You should feel your upper back working. Now we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet. But at a certain point, we're really going to need to bend the knees because we can't get our hands any closer without it. Once you find a comfortable position, I want you to turn your hands towards one another. And then you're going to bend your elbows, crown of the head to the mat, and raise it up. Crown of the head to the mat, press it up. It's almost like an upside down push-up. Give yourself a couple of these, then drop down to the mat. Have a seat. Both legs out to the side, roll out the wrists, flex at the toes, inhale up, exhale down, reach both ankles, shins, toes, whatever you can get. Hold it here, just breathe. Take a few more deep breaths. Yesterday's yoga class was called Letting Go Yoga. And we talked a little bit about holding on to tension. And sometimes whenever we do stretches or strength moves, we hold ourselves back because we go into the same positions we always go into, not realizing that we've gained flexibility or strength. So when you're in this position, I want you to inhale. And as you exhale, see if you can't just find some tension in your body and release it. You might find that you can reach a little bit farther forward. Let's bring our hands to the center. Inhale. And then as you exhale, find something to relax. Maybe it's your hamstrings, maybe it's your lower back, maybe it's your upper back. And just keep reaching. You might find a little bit more flexibility that you didn't know you had. And then walk your hands back gently. We're going to cross the right leg over the left. Left foot stays straight. We're going to hug the right leg in towards the body. Left arm wraps around. And we're pulling the leg in towards our body as we twist. So we're looking over the right shoulder. Again, use your inhale and exhale. As you inhale, bring awareness to any sort of tension that exists. And as you exhale, try to relax it mentally. And you might find that you can pull that leg a little closer to the body or maybe even twist a little bit farther forward. A lot of times in these twists, we hold tension in our lower back, our abs, and our glutes. So mentally, just try to relax it and get a little bit more out of it. Bring it forward. Let's do it on the other side. Left foot comes over the right. Right arm wraps around left leg as we twist to the left. Inhaling and exhaling. Find tension. Release it on the exhale. See if you can't get just a little bit more flexibility in the lower back, in the abs. Get a little bit better of a twist. Pull the leg a little closer to the body. And bring it forward. Bring it up to a standing position. Going to inhale up, hold it here, tilt to the right, tilt to the left. Back to center. Now here's another one where we might hold tension in our abs or in our upper body. So I want you to keep your lower body engaged, squeeze your glutes. Those muscles stay engaged. That keeps our spine safe. And then we're going to look back behind us as far as we can, and we're actually going to bend back as well. We're still keeping our glutes and hips engaged. Our legs are engaged. But as you exhale, see if you can't find the muscles in the front of your body that might be holding on to tension that doesn't allow you to bend back as far as you want to. And release. And that's what we had for today's body weight exercise. We went through everything for one round. I'm going to be posting this online. So if y'all wanted to do it again to get 2 sets, that's absolutely okay.